Your swim coach is probably lying to you, but they don't mean to mislead you. In fact, they probably don't even know they're not telling you the truth, because the reality is consistency compounds over time. And all those little things that they tell you about pushing off the wall and streamline, making sure you show up to practice, focusing on the drills, them not holding you accountable is holding you back in the long run. And to illustrate just how important this specific point is and how it applies to all the other things that I'm going to talk about in this video, I illustrated this with a simple calendar. And I have 3 different swimmers color-coded. The swimmer in this purple-red color is going to be really consistent for the first few days of the month, and then they're going to fall off on the weekend. They're not showing up to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the next week they're going to fall off again. They're only going to swim 3 times, and then a couple of weeks later they're going to show up again. As you can see, really inconsistent. So over the course of the month, this swimmer is only going to swim 8 times, and that means in the course of a year they're going to swim 96 times. Now let's take the next swimmer. They're going to be in this green color over here. Now they're consistently swimming on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And maybe they're going to miss a session here or there, but in total, over the course of the month, they're going to end up swimming 14 times. So over the course of a year, they're going to swim 168 times. And then we have our superstar swimmer who's consistent at showing up day in and day out. They are swimming Monday through Saturday, but they are going to miss every now and then. So they're not going to have a perfect score, but they're going to swim 23 times over the course of a month, which means in a year, they're going to swim 276 times. Now, this is where the magic gets really, really powerful and where you see these small compounding returns. So what I have here is a chart, and we have success on the y-axis. You can define that whatever you'd like. Maybe this is a best time in the 100-meter freestyle. Maybe it's your endurance, your technique, your long-term potential. This is success. You can label that whatever you'd like. And then over here we have time on the x-axis. And so what you might imagine is when we draw out these 3 swimmers, the difference is going to be quite different when we get out to 3 years and beyond. Now, in the very beginning, it might not actually look that different. So let's take our first swimmer here that is swimming 8 times a month. That's 96 times a year, almost 100 times per year. But if you notice, this swimmer here is going to start, we're all starting in the same spot, and they're going to have a great start, and they're going to basically plateau over time, and they're going to see less and less gains over time. Now, if you compare that to the swimmer that's going 14 times per month, that's going to be 168 times in a year, almost double. Doesn't mean they're going to double their swimming speed, but they are going to see an improvement, and they're probably going to keep getting better, and their plateau is going to be a little bit less severe. And you guessed it, when we get to our superstar swimmer that is swimming 23 times a month, 276 times in a year, they are going to have exponential results, and they are going to keep improving. And as you can see over time, in just a few weeks, it's not going to be that much different. But as you move through the timeline, the gap is actually going to be that much more pronounced, and this swimmer is going to run away with it. And this is the thing that a lot of coaches, they don't really tell their swimmers, and maybe they lie to them. They protect them thinking they don't want them to feel bad, because if they tell them, hey, if you're not showing up to practice, this is costing you your spot on the national team in 3 years from now, or you're not going to make your Olympic dream, or you're not going to be able to swim until your 50s or 60s or 70s. It doesn't really matter how many times per week you swim. What's most important here is the consistency, and that's the thing that compounds over time. This principle can be applied not just in swimming, but in life in general. The second thing that swim coaches need to tell you is that drills don't work unless you understand why. You need to understand why you're doing this specific skill. How is this going to apply to the actual stroke? How can you see your mechanics improve? Because if you don't, then you have no chance of fully applying that skill and seeing those compounded results over time. Now, another thing that swim coaches need to be telling you is that you should not copy what the Olympians do. Just because Caleb Dressler or Leon Marchand or Gretchen Walsh is taking 11 dolphin kicks off the final wall, or maybe they have a certain start in a specific way, or they use a piece of equipment, or they train in the weight room in a specific way, or they eat a specific food, that works for them. They've been training for 10, 15, 20 years at a very high level. They are a professional. This is literally their job, and they're calibrating time in and time out again. So because you yourself are not an Olympian, you got to make sure you're listening to a coach because they know what's best for you. And if you don't have a coach, that's why we developed the MySwimPro app. So that way you can get a personalized training program, sync it to your smartwatch, and you can get rolling just like the best in the world do with a personalized training program. Next up, you got to make sure if you want to be the best in the world, you have to be obsessed. Now, this is a little bit of a controversial statement because a lot of coaches will tell their swimmers, do your very best, make sure you're well-rounded and you have all these other sports that you're playing, and make sure you're doing your gym sessions, your yoga, Pilates, whatever else you're gonna do, that's great. Just be a well-rounded athlete. But if you wanna be the best in the world and you wanna maximize your potential when it comes to swimming, you have to be absolutely obsessed with swimming. Because if you're not obsessed with swimming, you know what? Someone else will be more obsessed and they're gonna pursue it further than you. If you're jumping around the calendar and you're not really showing up to practice, giving your full mental and physical focus, then you're going to be passed by someone who's willing to put in that work. And so you have to be obsessed. On the flip side, you got to remember swimming is probably not going to be your profession. You're going to need to expand outside of your swimming bubble and actually be a well-rounded person, because when you are obsessed, it comes at a cost. And we've seen some of the best athletes in the world and some of the best swimmers face adversity during their swimming career as well as after their swimming career because they were not able to disconnect from the sport. They were one-dimensional with their sport, and that's the cost that you pay when you become obsessed with something. So it's really important that you fall in love with something that is not swimming. Be well-rounded, and depending on the individual, you may have too much anxiety if you overly focus on one thing, and you may actually swim faster by focusing on something else more than you focus on swimming. It could be your job, it could be school, it could be your family, any other sport or activity. Just know it is a balancing act when it comes to performance. So whatever success is on this benchmark, you need to make sure that you are doing the actions that really push you closer to your goals on this success metric. If it means going to the Olympics and winning a medal representing your country, yeah, you're gonna need to be obsessed. If you just want to swim for the rest of your life, this path may actually be the best path for you because you're not obsessed with your performance results and you just want to swim for life, which is fantastic. Another thing that swim coaches need to be telling you is that the most important part of the workout is not the swim workout itself. It's recovery, it's nutrition, because you break down the muscle and you really beat yourself down in the pool and in training and in the weight room. But where you grow is when you're asleep. It's when you're not swimming. So if you train for 2 hours in the day, you have 22 hours that are more valuable than that 2-hour session. That's 11 times the amount of investment in time and effort that you put in the pool that you need to be focused on out of the water. This is what the best athletes do. It's what the best humans in performance do. It's really focusing beyond the workout itself and making sure that you're setting yourself up well to be able to recover. Another thing that swim coaches need to do, but they don't, is tell swimmers to swim less. That is right, most swimmers are overtraining. And in the year, the time of recording this, 2025, almost 2026, I still see too many swimmers overtraining. You need to ditch the distance. You're probably swimming too much. And depending on what your goals are, whether it's frequency or distance or intensity, you need to moderate it. Look at the last tip. The most important part of the workout is not the workout, it's what you're doing outside of the pool. Keep that in mind. Another thing that coaches tell their athletes is that your height doesn't matter. Your physical attributes don't matter because you can't control these things. And while you can't control them, you need to have good expectations. You need to have alignment in what the reality is for you. And so if you know that your maximum height potential, if you're growing up, if you're an age group swimmer, is going to be 1.6 meters tall, or you're gonna be 5'4", is your chances of making the Olympic team and representing your country and being the best in the world, is that a real goal? It may not be because you can't control your height, you can't control how fast other swimmers are, but what you can control is how you show up, the things that you focus on. And so a lot of coaches, they ignore this. Genetics do matter. Not all of us will be born to be 6'8". Not all of us will have the ability to recover, to put on muscle as quickly. It doesn't mean you should stop trying. It doesn't mean you shouldn't push yourself to be your very best. You should continue to do those things but set the right expectations. And coaches, unfortunately, do not do this for most of their athletes. And then coaches should also make sure that they teach their athletes at the elite level. It comes down to your mindset. Because like I said, everyone's got great genetics at the elite level. Everyone's training really hard. Everyone's doing everything that they can do. The only thing that separates the best from the very best is what's happening between their ears, in their mind, the mindset, the psychology, the rest and recovery, the visualization, all the different mental training models, and overcoming anxiety and breath work. This has nothing to do with what you do in the water and everything to do out of the water, but it impacts what happens in the pool. And so at the very best level, it all comes down to mindset. And then I wish swim coaches would tell their athletes that swimming is for life. Now, if you swim on a master's team or with other adults, you already know this, but I wish my coaches instilled this belief in me that you can do this forever. This isn't something that you're done at the age of 18 or 22. You can keep going. In fact, you can actually swim even faster. And so if you're just getting into swimming at the age of 45 or 65, you still got a lot of time. Enjoy the ride. And if you're a coach and you yourself are not swimming, then get your butt in the pool. Don't tell your athletes to do something that you don't do yourself. Inspire them, motivate them. If you're an athlete, send this to your coach. If you're a coach, send this to other coaches. And I got a bonus one for you. It's that relationships matter. These are the relationships in the pool that you make not only with your teammates, your lane mates, the random person you see at the pool on Thursday at 6 a.m., the lifeguard, the swim coaches, the parents of other swimmers, the random guy you see at the check-in of your YMCA. Say hello, introduce yourself, because these are the people you not only see all the time, but these are the friendships that will last a lifetime, because swimming is for life and the relationships do matter. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, I know you're serious about your swimming. You want to take it to the next level, and I know you're going to love this video over here. It's a 60-minute masterclass on how you can swim for life. I break down technique and all the things that you need to do to swim smarter forever. I'll see you over there, and happy swimming.